All right, we are back talking thoroughbred horse racing with Jon Hardoon from the Sheets as we wrap up what happened last week in the Breeders' Cup. So another 357 days, is it? Till the next, no, 365 actually, because we're on Friday. No,
Right.
I don't know, 358 days. I'm
350,
confused.
yeah, 359 to be
Close
exact.
enough. It's going to be a long time for the Breeders' Cup. But it was a lot of fun. And how'd you do? How'd everything go for you?
I did okay. I mean, I've had better Breeders' Cups. I had a tough beat with the Dr. Shivel race, but we did give out that try and super if people listened. And we had another race that was good. But listen, if you're lucky enough to hit a couple of races on those 2 days, usually you get paid well. And that super came back $1,400. So I did get some emails thanking us. So obviously some people made some money.
Awesome. That's great. We just want to remind everybody that Mark will appear on our shows, Mark Lawrence, when we get some really big stakes races again. It's going to be quiet for a little while, even though in a couple of weeks there's a good card. I forget where. I think New York.
Aqueduct. Yeah.
So we'll have some good stakes races in a couple of weeks to talk about. Is that the Cigar Mile?
Yeah, I think it's a Cigar Mile and a couple of other stakes. The Demoiselle and for fillies. There are some good races coming up. And then in December, Gulfstream opens their championship meet and Santa Anita opens. So we'll be busy.
Well, Mark needs to head down to Gulfstream. Are they allowing people live at the racetracks down there?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Well, Mark's got to get his butt out to Gulfstream. Then he could do the shows live at the racetrack. So
sounds good.
Yeah, that would be nice. When was the last time? How often do you get out to the track?
Well, I was at where was I? I was at Saratoga a lot this meet when they were in Saratoga this summer.
Do you just say, all right, today's a good day, I got extra time, or do you plan it out and say, I have to plan it out whenever I go to these things?
No, well, my son's involved with managing a stable, so when they had horses running, I like to go to the track to watch them run.
And did you have something last week? You had a race last week, didn't you?
Yes, the horse ran second, Cyberknife.
Oh, that's no good.
Well,
how did he go off? What was his odds?
Second's better than third, but
that's true. I hope there weren't four horses.
He's run twice. He won his first time out, and he was DQ'd for interfering, lugging in on another horse. Then he came back last week. He was a short price, but they beat the field by a lot, and he ran real well in finishing second. He'll be okay. His next start will be he's a 2-year-old. His next start will be at Fairgrounds. Brad Cox trains him, so nothing wrong with Brad Cox. He's pretty good.
And speaking of 2-year-olds, so what was it? That was the juvenile race, right? That Baffert won with the horse in the Breeders' Cup?
Yes.
So that's supposed to be a really good horse, and now what? He's still suspended as far as...
He's not suspended. Churchill refuses to give his horses any points for the Derby, which is really ridiculous and unfair because all they're hurting is the horse and the owners of the horse. Just because Baffert trains him, you don't want to allow Baffert there. That's fine, but you can't penalize the horse. The problem is the point is it was so few points, it's not going to matter because as they get closer to the Derby, it was 10 points.
Okay.
But just the principle behind the whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, we got a long way to go because a lot of it seems like almost every year one of the favorites of the Derby has to back out.
Oh, more than that, for sure. Look at Breeders' Cup. They lost horses that were supposed to run, in the Breeders' Cup that were forced to back out the day before. Jack Christopher, the favorite in the juveniles, the Chad Brown horse, was forced to scratch because he had an ailment of some sort.
And there was some controversy there on Friday.
Friday was a disaster. What do you mean controversy?
So...
They're lucky it wasn't in New York. They probably would have burnt the track down, to tell you the truth.
Has that ever happened before?
It's happened, but never as bad and never on the stage that they had. I mean, it was Breeders' Cup. That's the biggest day of the year, and you got millions of people watching. And the stewards screwed up. They scratched a horse that shouldn't have been scratched. And once he comes out, he won the race, and you don't collect. How do you explain that to new people? Correct. It's a mess. It was a mess.
I couldn't just imagine. Was
I mean,
that was the favorite?
they're supposed to roll for that, and they haven't yet. What?
Was that one of the favorites?
It was the favorite.
The favorite.
Yes.
Wow.
Which makes it only that much worse. So if you were alive in like a pick 3, pick 4, pick 5,
Oof.
with the 1, he wins the race, and you don't collect because you got pushed to the 3 because they declared him a non-starter.
That's
It
terrible.
was a total screw up.
That's terrible. There's got to be a backup to that, isn't there? It's supposed to be, all right, can you just double check this for me before I press the button? That's just bad.
The problem. They screwed up.
Okay, now, the other thing, we'll let everybody know, we're going to be on every week. And that means that because we're going to be on every week, I know we've had a lot of people that have asked us to be on every week. And so that means it could be like this week, there are no graded stakes races. Now, we do have a stakes race, but it's not a graded stakes race. That's going to be the second race, the one at Aqueduct. We're going to talk about the Artie Schiller Stakes. But we're going to start with a race at Del Mar. It's just an optional claimer, $72,000 purse. It's going to go off about 6:30, I believe, post time.
6:30 East Coast time.
East Coast time. It's a 5-furlong turf race. And so, again, just before we get into this, we're going to be on every week, and that's the main goal. And we also want to thank everybody because we had a record number of viewers last week. And we want to thank everybody. And hopefully, it's funny because we had the shows split it up in 2. And the first show that we did, we went 2 for 2. And the second show, we went over 2. Now we went 2 for 4, which we'll take every week. But it was just funny how we went over 2 on one show and over 1 for, so it's kind of, I mean.
Well, that's your fault because you spliced them.
And the classic, how about Nick's Go? Nobody could catch Nick's Go. You talked about that. Nobody could catch Nick's Go.
I was shocked at how well Medina Spirit ran, to be honest with you, in defeat. If he doesn't show up, we run 1, 2, 3 like we thought we would. But listen, the inside was not the place to be honest with you, on Saturday. And both Hot Rod Charlie and Essential Quality was stuck inside, and Medina Spirit was wide the whole time. That's why he got second.
Got it. Okay, let's take a look at this race now. And matter of fact, one of the horses that we're going to start off with here, and that is the 1 horse, is one of the 3 that you like in this race, and that is going to be Crossword. Crossword's a 6-1 shot, Sadler and Espinosa. Now, he's coming off a career best his last time out. It was a 14, ran second on October 17th. And that was also the first ride for Espinosa, so bring him back, that's for sure. My question, though, is once again, we could talk about a potential bounce. This was less than a month, and he's never ran a 14 before. But tell me why you think Crossword at 6-1 is a pretty decent play to throw into your exotics.
Only because he's a 3-year-old who's allowed to get better. Yes, he's more likely to react and bounce off of the 14 than he is to move forward. But he's at least 6-1, and by process of elimination, there really aren't many horses in this race that I think could run the 14 or better. There's one horse, in my opinion, that stands out, and it's the number 8 horse, Too Late. And we'll discuss him when we get to him. But again, he's 6-1, and I'm only picking him for second and third. I don't think he could win the race.
Okay, now the number 2 horse is See Through It, a 5-1 shot. And See Through It, 3 on dirt this year, so keep that in mind. Again, this is a turf race. Coming off a 10, which was also See Through It's career best. He ran that one a little bit. He had a little bit more time, September 26th. But the career best before that, I believe, was a 16. So what's the difference in your mind between See Through It and Crossword?
Well, See Through It has 1 race on the grass last year when he ran a 19. Crossroad at least ran a 14 last time out. Not only that, I don't like when a horse has 17 lifetime starts. 16 of them are on the dirt. So they didn't think enough to put this horse back on the turf. So for that, and he's not long. He's 5-1. So for that reason, I am playing against him. Listen, can he get in? Of course he could get in, but you can't use them all.
Okay, now this is another one of your exotic horses. And this is going to be the 3-horse, which is one of the horses I'm going with as well, riding with Dino. And 7 of 8 in the money lifetime. Did not race in 2020. But what you got to like is early on in the career, in 2019, things were going pretty well. And then something happened. The horse was gone until this year. Then it comes back this year and decides we're going to switch him over to be a turf horse. And in the 3 races since he's been switched over to turf, 18, 15, 13. So he's heading perfectly in the right direction. And so this is definitely a horse I think that works well into the exotics at 5-2.
Yeah, he's never done anything wrong on the grass, and he's never done anything wrong this year. And the improvement is small improvements: 3 points, 18 to a 15, 2 points, 15 to a 13. So no big jump up, and he doesn't have to react. He could certainly repeat.
The 4-horse is El Tigre Terrible, an 8-1 shot, mostly last year a dirt horse. Has not been in the money in his last 7 races. It does have a 14 a couple of starts ago, but yeah, I'm kind of surprised this horse is 8-1.
Well, he's 8-1 because of the barn switch. He was previously trained by Peter Miller.
Okay.
So not to take anything away from Ed Mosier, but Ed Mosier is no Peter Miller. People don't improve off of Miller. Listen, if this was still Peter Miller, I would like this horse. He has a 12 on the grass first out this year, and he has last year 13 and 14 on the grass. But again, I don't like the barn switch. People don't improve, and for that reason, I am negative on El Tigre Terrible, or whatever his name is.
Alligato. And what is that, alligator in Spanish or something?
You're asking. I can't have enough trouble with English.
Alligato has just 2 career races, but you got to like the fact that the first race was a 16. That's always solid. Second race improved to a 14. Now, what you notice here is that in the first race, he was 5 furlongs and finished in 3rd. Stretched him out a little bit more, finished 1st. So obviously, this is a closing type horse. Doesn't really, and even though you could say what you want about closers in a 5-6 furlong race, but so now back to 5 furlongs. I just wonder if that's really where the horse should be at. But what's wrong with Alligato? Is it just the odds?
Nothing. The problem I have with this horse is no races at 2, no races at 3. Didn't start racing till the middle of his 4-year-old campaign. Listen, he's got a 14. The 1 horse has a 14. The 1 is 6-1. He's 3-1. So that's why I went to the 1 over the 4.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'm gonna right now. The 3 and the 5 are my top 2 horses. The 6 is Austin's Boy, and this horse doesn't look like he even belongs in this field.
He's slow as well as the 7. The next horse up, Bound to Bet. Both of those horses look slower than the rest of the field.
All right, now this is your top horse, and this is Too Late, the 8-horse, a 7-2 shot. Just 1 win out of 13, but you got Gutierrez and O'Neill combo, which is always interesting. 2 dirt races sandwiched in between the 10 on turf. Matter of fact, if you look at it, out of the 5 races this season, the 3 dirt races were poor. The 2 on turf were 10s.
Right. So this is a turf race. Let's throw out the 3 dirt races, and I see 2 10s.
Yeah.
Now I see 2 10s. I see 2 10s, and I see 7-2.
Yeah.
No one in this race comes close to running a 10.
Yep.
That's why, it's a no-brainer for me. I think the 8's going to be very, very tough here.
Bench Judge is...
No, those are AEs. They're going to scratch. The next 2 horses are both also eligible, so they're going to be out.
Okay.
So it's an 8-horse field. They'll get it.
Okay.
Someone scratches, but no one's going to scratch.
I see here. Yeah, they said they have the A and E in here, but I guess for some reason, what is that? The way Del Mar does it differently than the other tracks?
No, the other tracks usually do it the same way. The problem is we got the PPs 2 days in advance.
Oh, got it. Okay, got it. Okay. So again, you're going to go with 8 as your top horse, correct?
Yes, Too Late. If you get anywhere near 7-2, I would be running to the window. That's more than a fair price.
All right, now we have the marquee race of our show, and that is a mile turf race at Aqueduct, race number 9. Again, the Artie Schiller Stakes. This is a $150,000 purse race, which should go off about 3:45 Eastern time. So this will actually go off before the West Coast race that we just did at Del Mar. And we'll start.
I just want to tell everybody something that's playing New York. It's pouring rain in New York as we speak. This race is scheduled for the turf. I'm sure they'll do everything to keep it on the turf because it is a stake race. But if the race comes off the grass, whatever we're about to tell you, disregard, because we are making selections for turf only. And by the way, the 9 and 10 are also MTOs and not going to get in. So,
no Bal Harbor or Our Last Buck.
Unless the race comes off the grass. That is correct.
And those are two of the favorites.
Well, they're the favorites on the main track. If the race is on the turf, they're not the favorites because they can't run.
Got it. Okay, let's bring in the number 1 here, Flavius. A 7-2 shot with Ortiz and Brown, which is a pretty good combo. Not as good as last year. Last year ran 8s and 6s. This year running 9s and 11s.
That's exactly the correct read. And at 7-2, I would play against this horse because obviously as a 6-year-old, he's not the same as he was as a 5-year-old. He ran a 6 and an 8, a couple 8s last year. Can't get back to those numbers this year. So for that reason, this is negative to me.
The 2 is going to be one of your top horses, Olympic Runner, and getting good odds at 12-1. 7s in 2 of his last 3 races, and last year ran 5s and 6s, and this horse is getting 12-1.
Yeah, but this is also somewhat of a negative horse because last year he had 5s and 6s, like you said. This year only able to get to 7s. But the difference is this horse is at least 12-1, where the 1 horse is 7-2. So it's all about odds.
The 3 is Rinaldi, a 6-1 shot with Luis Saez on board. Another horse that you're going to put into your exotics. The last couple of starts ago, ran his best race. That was the 8 on July the 16th. What do you like about Rinaldi?
I like the fact that he ran an 8 2 starts back, which was a lifetime top. He bounced last time out to the 12. He now has time, and I think he has a shot to go back to that 8. And if he does, he has a serious chance in here.
Okay. The 4, we both like this horse. Matter of fact, this is your top horse, the top earner in the field. The 8-1 shot, March of the Arch. Couple of starts ago, ran a 6, also has a couple of 8s, 1 on synthetic. Last year had a 5, and just a couple of years ago when the horse was even younger, had 5 7s and 7 races. So this is a solid, consistent horse. Like I said, coming off a 6 a couple of starts ago.
Yeah, he's fine. Listen, he's generally fast. The fact that he didn't come back to the 5 that he ran last year is a little bit of a concern. But at 8-1, it's really a no-brainer. My only problem I have with this horse is that last time he came off of Lasix for the first time, and he won't be on Lasix tomorrow, and he ran an 11. However, there were reasons for the 11. First of all, he was bouncing off the 6. There's also a T mark there, which means he had trouble in that race. So for that reason, I'm willing to forgive and forget and move forward.
Okay. This Bodie Cream, nothing here, right?
No, okay. Too slow.
The 6 is one of the favorites. Tell Your Daddy. Now, Tell Your Daddy is coming off a career best 9 last time out. The previous best, he had like 5 straight 11, something like that. But a 9 last time out, and that was about a month ago. Is that part of the reason you're staying away, combined with the odds? What's up with Tell Your Daddy?
Well, we were talking about March to the Arch, who has a bunch of 7s and 6 and a 5 somewhere. Rinaldi has the 8. All these horses that we were mentioning beforehand, Rinaldi, March, they're all faster than this horse.
Yeah.
Last time out, he ran the 9 finally. He's probably going to react off of the 9. He's 3-1.
Yep.
There is no edge in playing this horse at 3-1.
The 7.
That's, by the way, that's what makes the race interesting, because when you got favorites like Flavius, 7-2, Tell Your Daddy, 3-1, slow, going in the wrong direction, why do you want to play them? That's what makes it a good betting race.
The 7, no idea what the deal is.
NYC,
an 8-1 shot. 0-4 on turf, so that's not a good sign. Ortiz Pletcher combo you like. Has some dirt races, has some turf races. The best races, though, have been on dirt.
Correct. I don't like it.
Does have 2 10s on the turf, but has 2 7s on dirt.
A 10's not going to get you a cigar here. What is a 10 going to do for you in this race?
All right, the 8, another horse that you are fond of in this race, and that is breaking the rules at 8-1. This horse has a 7 and an 8 this season.
Last season,
excuse me.
That's the problem. That's the knock with the horse. But 8-1, he's steady, never really runs worse than a 10 or 11. Has a 7 last year on a soft turf, and there certainly will be given the turf after all the rain they're getting today. So for that reason, I threw him in.
Okay, and then the 9 and the 10, as you mentioned, they're not going to race unless it's raining, correct? And then we have the 11 and the 12. Now the 11 is Field Pass, a 9-2 shot, and this is going to be my top play. I like the fact that over the last 3 races, 11, 10, 9. I also like the fact that the horse has an 8 and a 6 this year. Castellano Maker combo. This will be my top play.
Nothing wrong with this horse. Maybe I should have actually used him instead of throwing in the 8. This probably should have been my other horse. Again, he's fine. And the knock is that the last race probably should have been better than a 9 because he has that 6 to go back to that he hasn't gotten back to. So I'm nitpicking here. But, again, nothing wrong with that selection underneath.
All right. Now, normally we go, forget about this, but I don't want to forget about it. I want to ask you about Mandate.
This horse isn't a throwout that fast at 50-1.
There you go. So I'm glad.
He's yet to run a single digit. You realize that?
Yes.
And it's a low-profile connection. I've actually never even heard of the trainer, but he did get a win out of it. I'm out at Laurel, so what the heck?
And was that taking over for Pletcher?
Yeah, that was away from Wayne Potts.
Ah, okay.
Who took him from Pletcher.
Got it. Okay, so then, so like we said, first race with the new trainer equaled his best race, which is an 11, and you're talking 50-1. So,
yeah.
Come on.
You see 50-1 with a horse that's a couple of points away. There certainly are worse ideas than that. That's for sure.
Okay, so your top horse is the 4 in this race, March of the Arch, and who else do you like?
I used them in exactas, I believe.
With the 2 and the 3 and the 8.
Yeah, I'm going to switch that 8 to your horse.
The 11.
Yeah, 4 with 2, 3, 11.
Okay, and 11, like I said, is my top play, and I'm also going to put in the 4 and the 12 into my exactas to see if I can come up with a big payday there.
That works. You won't be on the show next week because you'll be vacationing somewhere in the Bahamas.
I will be on the show. Yeah, so you know what that means. All right, John. Appreciate it as always. And next week, who knows what we're going to do. What's that?
Same bad time, same bad channel next week.
Yes, we're always going to record the show early in the afternoon on Fridays, so they should be out and available to view somewhere between 3 and 5 o'clock on Fridays, the latest.
Plenty of time. Thanks, Craig. Be well. Greg, be well and stay safe, my friend.
You got it.